Welcome to the 2018 Annual General Meeting of TTEC Limited. It's 3:30 p.m., which is our appointed time for the meeting to begin, so we'll start. First order of business is to determine if we have a quorum. And in accordance with TTEC Limited's Articles of Association, 3 persons present in person or by proxy constitute a quorum. Article number 58. Madam Secretary, do we have a quorum?
Yes,
Thank you. So, call this meeting to order. My name is Edward Alexander. Many people know me as Teddy Alexander. I'm the executive chairman of our company, and I will be chairing this 2018 annual general meeting today. So I now call the meeting to order and ask shareholders when they're speaking to stand. Please use the microphone provided. We also ask you to state your names clearly when either proposing or seconding a resolution or for any other reason. Questions will only be taken on the business outlined in the notice of the meeting. So, this time I'm going to ask John Gibson, our Senior Security Officer, to come and just say prayers for us. John?
Thank you, Teddy. Good afternoon. Let us pray. Lord, we thank you for this gathering. We thank you for this meeting, Lord. We thank you for TTEC and the organization, Lord, and what it represents. We thank you for the accomplishments that we have done over the last 12 months. Bless these proceedings, Lord God. May the presentation and the discussions be fruitful. And we turn this meeting over to you. In your name we pray. Amen. Thank you.
Thank you, John. I'm now going to ask a shareholder to propose and another shareholder to second the motion that the notice convening the meeting, having been previously circulated, be taken as read. So can I have a proposer? Michael Hendricks. Thank you, Michael. And a seconder?
John Gibson.
Thank you, John. I thank the proposer and the seconder, and now put the resolution to the meeting. Those in favor?
Aye.
Those against? The ayes have it. I declare the resolution carried. Yeah. Madam Secretary, can you advise if we have any notification of apologies for absence or any received?
Mr. Chairman, no apologies are received.
Okay, thank you. And now on to proxies. I'll now ask you, Madam Company Secretary, the number of valid proxies that we have received.
I confirm that 11 valid proxies were received and presented to GCSE or registrar.
Okay, thank you. Let me now introduce the people who are seated at the head table. I will just, well, first let me start with the directors. First, in the middle, I'll just ask you to raise your hand to be acknowledged. Mr. Philip Alexander, Mr. Thomas Chin, Ms. Joan Marie Powell. Those are all the non-executive directors of TTEC. And right at the end, Mr. Richard Downer, who is our board mentor. And immediately to my left, Gillian Murray, our company secretary. Mr. Gordon Christopher Record, our chief executive officer. And Mrs. Hortense Gregory Nelson, our finance and administration manager. I'd also like to acknowledge a few members of the TTEC team who are here. John Gibson, our senior IT security officer, someone who does a lot to keep both TTEC and our customers safe and secure. And along with John, we have some other team members. There's Manish Hutchinson, our HR administrator, and Sonika Jerry, who recently joined us as an account manager in the sales team. So, welcome. I also like to recognize our auditors, Ernst & Young, who are represented by Mr. Winston Robinson and Ms. Sophianne Edwards. Our recording secretaries from Ernst & Young are represented by Yvonne Godfrey and Joan Muir-Mitchell. Thank you. Our registrar and transfer agents are here, the Jamaica Central Securities Depositories, and they're represented by Bridget Gale and Tamika Ricketts, and I think they're still outside. Okay. All right, so I'm not sure we have any other special. No? Okay. Before moving on with the program, I just want to just divert a little bit. I would really, Mr. Norman Chen, director of the company, or technical service, and head of our technical services team at T-Tech, just joined at the head table. Welcome, Norman. By the way, we did receive apologies for lateness on Norman's behalf, so I should mention that. Yes, I just want to divert just for a moment, and I'd like, certainly on behalf of the board, the management, the team of T-Tech, and I dare say our shareholders, acknowledge the contribution of Mr. Philip Alexander, who led as chairman from mid-2015 until the end of February 2018 as chairman of the board. At that time, I was the chief executive officer of the company, and it was a time, when we were going through, had made the decision to go ahead and become publicly listed, so we had to go through our IPO, our listing, and then there was a lot that needed to be done to get the board organized and so on. And one thing I can tell you is that running the board is a completely different job from running the company. Philip has tremendous experience, both from a strategic planning, risk management, as well as himself having been a former director of Grace Kennedy. And not only did he do an able job, I think he did a sterling job leading the board in that time, and I think we should acknowledge his contribution to the company. Thank you, Philip. Okay. And formally, I'd now like to welcome all members present in person or by proxies, as well as any special invited guests. All right. In accordance with the agenda outlined in the notice on page 5 of the 2017 annual report, I will now proceed with the ordinary business of this 2018 annual general meeting. And the first item is the director's report on accounts. I would like to ask the secretary to table the accounts for the financial year ended December 31st, 2017, and the report of the directors thereon.
So table, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. And now the report of the auditors. I would like to invite Mr. Winston Robinson, Chartered Accountant, to read the independent report of the auditors.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good afternoon, everyone. Independent Auditor's Report to the members of T-Tech Limited. Opinion. We have audited the financial statements of T-Tech Limited, the company, which comprise, by the way, it's at page 29 of your annual report. Yeah, we have audited the financial statements of T-Tech Limited, the company, which comprise the statement of financial position as at 31st December 2017, the statements of comprehensive income, changes in equity, and cash flows for the year then ended, and notes comprising significant accounting policies and other explanatory information. In our opinion, the accompanying financial statements give a true and fair view of the financial position of the company as at 31st December 2017 and of its financial performance and cash flows for the year then ended in accordance with International Financial Reporting Standards and the Jamaican Companies Act. Basis of opinion. We conducted our audit in accordance with International Standards and Auditing, ISAs. Our responsibilities under those standards are further described in the auditor's responsibilities for the audit of the financial statements section of our report. We are independent of the company in accordance with the International Ethics Standard Board for Accountants Code of Ethics for Professional Accountants, and we have fulfilled our other ethical responsibilities in accordance with the code. We believe that the audit evidence we have obtained is sufficient and appropriate to provide a basis for our opinion. Key audit matters. Key audit matters are those matters that, in our professional judgment, were of most significance in our audit of the financial statements of the current period. These matters were addressed in the context of our audit of the financial statements as a whole and informing our opinion thereon, and we do not provide a separate opinion on these matters. For each matter below, our description of our audit address the matter is provided in that context. We have fulfilled the responsibilities described in the auditor's responsibilities section for the audit of financial statements section of our report, including in relation to these matters. Accordingly, our audit included the performance of procedures designed to respond to our assessment of the risk of material misstatement of the financial statements. The results of our audit procedures, including the procedures performed to address the matters below, provide the basis for our audit opinion on the accompanying financial statements. Key audit matter: allowance for credit losses. As described in Note 2D, use of estimates and judgments under section allowance for impairment losses on receivables in the financial statements, in determining amounts recorded for impairment losses in the financial statements, management makes judgments regarding indicators of impairment. That is, whether there are indicators that suggest that there may be a measurable decrease in the estimated future cash flows from receivables. For example, default and adverse economic conditions. Management also makes estimates of the likely cash flows from impaired receivables, as well as the timing of such cash flows. Historical loss experience is applied where indicators of impairment are not observable on individually significant receivables with similar characteristics. How our audit address the key audit matter? Assessing the valuation of trade receivables requires judgment, and we have reviewed and challenged the assumptions used to determine the trade receivables impairment provision. We tested age balances where no provision was recognized to determine if the balances were impaired. This included verifying if payments had been received since year-end, reviewing historical payment patterns, and any correspondence with customers on expected settlement dates. We selected a sample of trade receivable balances where a provision for impairment of trade receivables was recognized and understood the rationale behind management's judgment. In order to evaluate the appropriateness of these judgments, we verified whether balances were overdue, the customer's historical payment patterns, and whether any post-year-end payments had been received up to the date of completing our audit procedures. In assessing the appropriateness of the overall provision for impairment, we considered the consistency of management's application of the policy for recognizing provisions with the prior year. Other information included in the annual report. Management is responsible for the other information. The other information comprises of information included in the annual report for the year ended 31st December 2017, but does not include the financial statements and the auditor's report thereon. The annual report is expected to be made available to us after the date of this auditor's report. Our opinion on the financial statements does not cover the other information, and we will not express any form of assurance conclusion thereon. In connection with our audit of the financial statements, our responsibility is to read the other information identified above when it becomes available, and in doing so, consider whether the other information is materially inconsistent with the financial statements, or knowledge obtained in the audit or otherwise appears to be materially misstated. Responsibilities of management and the board of directors for the financial statements. Management is responsible for the preparation of financial statements that give a true and fair view in accordance with IFRS and the Jamaican Companies Act, and for such internal control as management determines is necessary to enable the preparation of financial statements that are free from material misstatement, whether due to fraud or error. In preparing the financial statements, management is responsible for assessing the company's ability to continue as a going concern, disclosing as applicable matters related to going concern, and using the going concern basis of accounting unless management either intends to liquidate the company or to cease operations or has no realistic alternative but to do so. The board of directors is responsible for overseeing the company's financial reporting process. Auditor's responsibility for the audit of the financial statements. Our objectives are to obtain reasonable assurance about whether the financial statements as a whole are free from material misstatement, whether due to fraud or error, and to issue an auditor's report that includes our opinion. Reasonable assurance is a high level of assurance, but is not a guarantee that an audit conducted in accordance with ISAs will always detect a material misstatement when it exists. Misstatements can arise from fraud or error and are considered material if, individually or in aggregate, they could reasonably be expected to influence the economic decisions of users taken on the basis of these financial statements. As part of an audit in accordance with ISAs, we exercise professional judgment and maintain professional skepticism throughout the audit. We also identify and assess the risk of material misstatements of the financial statements, whether due to fraud or error, design and perform audit procedures responsive to those risks, and obtain audit evidence that is sufficient and appropriate to provide a basis for our opinion. The risk of not detecting a material misstatement resulting from fraud is higher than for one resulting from error, as fraud may involve collusion, forgery, intentional omissions, misrepresentations, or the override of internal control. Obtain an understanding of internal control relevant to the audit in order to design audit procedures that are appropriate in the circumstances, but not for the purpose of expressing an opinion on the effectiveness of the company's internal control. Evaluate the appropriateness of accounting policies used and the reasonableness of accounting estimates and related disclosures made by management. Conclude on the appropriateness of management's use of the going concern basis of accounting and, based on the evidence obtained, whether material uncertainty exists related to events or conditions that may cast significant doubt on the company's ability to continue as a going concern. If we conclude that a material uncertainty exists, we are required to draw attention in our auditor's report to the related disclosures in the financial statements, or, if such disclosures are inadequate, to modify our opinion. Our conclusions are based on the audit evidence obtained up to the date of our auditor's report. However, future events or conditions may cause the company to cease to continue as a going concern. Evaluate the overall presentation, structure, and content of the financial statements, including the disclosures, and whether the financial statements represent the underlying transactions and events in a manner that presents a true and fair view. We communicate with the board of directors regarding, among other matters, the planned scope and timing of the audit and the significant audit findings, including any significant deficiencies in internal control that we identify during the audit. We also provide the board of directors with a statement that we have complied with relevant ethical requirements regarding independence, and to communicate with them all relationships and other matters that may reasonably be thought to bear on our independence, and where applicable, related safeguards. From the matters communicated with the Board of Directors, we determined those matters that were of most significance in the audit of the financial statements of the current period, and therefore the key audit matters. We described these matters in our auditor's report unless law or regulation precludes public disclosure about the matter, or when, in extremely rare circumstances, we determine that a matter should not be communicated in our report because the adverse consequences of doing so would reasonably be expected to outweigh the public interest benefits of such communication. Report on the additional requirements of the Jamaican Companies Act. We have obtained all the information and explanations which, to the best of our knowledge and belief, were necessary for the purposes of our audit. In our opinion, proper accounting records have been maintained so far as appears from our examination of those records, and the financial statements, which are in agreement therewith, give the information required by the Jamaican Companies Act in the manner required. The engagement partner on the audit resulting in this independent auditor's report is Winston Robinson, and signed Ernst & Young, Kingston, Jamaica, 22nd of February, 2018. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Winston. And I would like to ask a shareholder to propose resolution number 1, that the audited accounts for the year ended December 31, 2017, together with the director's report and auditor's report thereon, be and are hereby adopted. So, name? You got that? David Rose. Thank you, David. Seconder? Thank the proposer and the seconder. Now before taking your questions on the reports and the accounts, I'm going to ask the Chief Executive Officer, Mr. Christopher Record, and afterwards Mrs. Hortense Gregory Nelson, our Finance and Administration Manager, to comment on the financial performance during 2017, as well as some strategic highlights for 2018. So, Chris?
Thank you, Chairman. Good afternoon, folks. If you happen to have one of the reports, you could just follow, starting on page 8. So what I'll do is just some highlights of my report that that was penned here. So we start out with just a quick reminder of what your company does, for you who are shareholders. TTEC Limited is Jamaica's leading managed IT services company. So what does that mean? We provide IT support services on a monthly recurring basis in terms of payment, and these services are outlined as follows. Infrastructure management, and I'm not starting at the beginning, I'll explain. Infrastructure management, which is kind of what started the organization, where we handle and manage and keep tip-top shape our customers' IT infrastructure, which is servers, PCs, networks, and the like. The next thing that we also provide in terms of services, cloud migration. So what's happening out there is a fair amount of organizations are in fact moving from physical infrastructure, from buying servers in the office to putting those services in the cloud. And so cloud migration, we have to be moving information and data, and that's one of the other services that we provide. The other major service we provide, John Gibson, who gave our prayer, is the head of our IT security area, and we help customers be compliant with information technology security, and also do some sort of a cybersecurity prevention and help customers with policies. And those are the main recurring services with respect to remote technologies that we use, software that we use to help our customers. Service desk, this is fast becoming a discussion. I just came from an event in Montego Bay where everybody's talking about BPO. And for the BPO, they may call it a call center. For us, we call it our service desk. So it is a business process outsourcing component, but it's what we call a high-value business process outsourcing. So it's ITO and not just regular BPO. So this IT outsourcing specifically is a service desk where we provide desk-side support, albeit mostly remotely, for our customers. And then two more things that you may see up there on the slides is unified communication. So the PBX systems, phone systems, voice, that's the only product that we sell. Everything else we do is services, and the only physical product we actually sell is phone systems. And then last but not least, on the far right and on the the banner that was here over that side is T-Tech Consulting Services. So having delivered all of those other services that I mentioned for a number of years, our very happy customers, very satisfied customers kept asking us for more services because they said, look guys, you guys delivering these things well, we now need some help with the value part of the business. The software selection, IT strategy, these areas that we weren't helping before, and hence we created that. So this is an overview of what we do. So as a quick reminder of the services we provide to our customers. Our chairman had introduced some of the existing team members that were here already, and so this just kind of gives an overview of our management team. And these are the folks who, with the exception of Teddy, who on March 1 decided to relax a little bit more. He still is the executive chairman, so we still have to make sure that we answer and we jump when he comes into the room, right? And the other team members that are here were introduced already. I just noticed one of our founders walking in the room just this moment, Mr. Hugh Allen. Hugh, could you, right? Hugh is also a board member. So these are the team members that keep the things humming. Norman was introduced, and most of the persons here were introduced. So the absent, who heads up our consulting group, is Marcel Smart, who happens to be on assignment on a project on the other side of the island, delivering a very, very important project for an important customer. So this is the team that holds it together and delivers the results and the amazing results that we'll see continuously growing. So report on 2017 is our focus today. So in 2017, the highlights, we delivered $217.2 million in top-line revenue, and this was a little bit lower, tad lower than our 2016 revenue. When we analyzed the numbers, we saw what happened. The fact is that we had a great 2016, and there were a bunch of projects that we had part 1, part 2, part 3 of those projects. Some came through, some didn't come through. So when you deliver, when you really do very good in 1 year, the automatic assumption is that you're going to do amazing the year following, and that's the plan a lot of the times, but sometimes it doesn't happen, and sometimes there are projects that get deferred and projects that get rearranged based upon our customers' priorities. If we had the controlling situation with the customers' decisions, the numbers would have been a little different. And so as a result, that adjusted our net profit, where 2016, there was a fair amount of project base that had very low cost of input, and therefore 2016 delivered 39.3 million, and then we were down in 2017 18.6 million. Now, as we sat down and looked through our results, we realized there was some, what I would refer to anyway as silver lining with the results not looking so amazing, because as I mentioned earlier in the introduction of our services, we are a monthly recurring revenue cost type of business, similar to subscriptions in whether it's a cable company or a cell phone company, where that number for us, where the numbers that our customers pay us on a monthly basis for all those services that I explained earlier, that number actually went up. So to us, that was very, very good, because that's a key important number that we look at. So that number went up by 9%, and also in 2017, what was very well for us is that one of our largest organizations signed a multi-year contract for us continuing our service and support for them. So that's quick highlights on the financials. Hortense will give a little bit more detail, right? So next for me was our customer engagement. The organization sponsored a number of events in 2017 where we were able to engage with the huge opportunity of prospects. One of those events on the far left side, we were speaking at the Jamaica Computer Society event, which at the end of 2017 was one of their largest events, seeing 300 to 400 people per day. So these are our direct potential customers, and we have had opportunities arising from those interactions that we actually have closed. Some of them we have closed, and some of them we continue to work on. We also, our consulting team put together a group of events which we refer to as TTEC Insights. With this business, some of these projects take a very long time to close. And so the relationship building component of what we do is very, very important. And we also have to realize that we need to be continuously delivering some sort of information, some sort of update, and some sort of, as it says, some sort of insight to our potential customers for them to kind of understand where globally the rest of the IT world is going, and then how we TTEC can help them. And so these events, we brought in anywhere between 15 to 20 leading decision makers within the IT space and had them sit down, and we just presented on general topics that obviously topics that we are involved in and supporting, and these have worked out to be very, very influential and beneficial for us so far. So those are some of the customer engagement activities. In terms of team, our internal team, we made some investments with some online technologies which allow us to engage directly on an almost monthly basis, get feedback how the team engagement is going. And so this is a kind of a mock-up of our feedback, and the beauty with the technologies that we implemented, it's anonymous. So if a team member has some issues that they want to discuss, but they really and truly don't want to speak it to anybody specifically, the feedback that they give comes into the system, the management team sees it and realize that around certain topic areas we need to do something better. So while some organizations, they do annual reviews of their team's engagement and they do annual feedback surveys, the system that we have does it monthly. It will send every 2 weeks, it sends out surveys and questions, and the team members can choose. And as long as they answer 1 or 2 of those surveys on a monthly basis, we'll get that feedback measured. And so this has helped us tremendously to facilitate change within the organization. I mean, for example, one of the things that we're now doing is how many days per week, Manish, that we do our little health and people bringing fruits. So buy fruits and put in the office to share for everyone. As a matter of fact, out of the feedback that we got from team members, might have been a little earlier, we now our company gives our team members their birthday off, right? Because one of the things we realized that we could do, folks may need a little bit more, there's always more requested, and what can we give? We could give some time. And so feedback from these systems help us to formulate some of those. I see our auditor telling his team member, don't come to me with none of that. Right? So the next item I wanted to mention was our process improvement, and Norman Chen, who leads our technical services team, has been spearheading implementing a number of systems. So in 2016 we began with implementation of a tool that we call our remote monitoring and management tool. So you notice that MRR, monthly recurring revenue, is reliant on RMM, right? How uncanny. I didn't make that up. So the remote monitoring and management tools that were implemented allow us to now scale that part of the business where we are able to monitor and manage our customers' environment. So we implemented that system 2016 into the middle of 2017. And then now, when that was ongoing, one thing that we started was okay, how do we, now that we have that automated tool working great, how do we now ensure that the information flowing from it flows directly into our accounting system, and also information from that also can be integrated with our sales, so we can see potential new opportunities within our customers, and also ensure that the billing goes out on time and all of this kind of stuff. That additional system now is what was referred to in the business as a professional services automation tool, and that implementation of that PSA is ongoing. So we started that in towards the end of 2017, and we are doing it on a phase basis because the tool has a number of different components that help us with the business. So those are two of the main tools. The top diagram kind of gives a high-level overview. That diagram is also in the report that speaks to some numbers as relates to devices that we are able to monitor and manage remotely. So as you see, over 1,000 desktops, over almost 300 servers, over 430 network points, and I think the numbers have actually increased since then, because I said these were the 2017 numbers. The organization received some international recognition in 2017. There are two international bodies. There's an organization, MSP Mentor. So the business that we're in North America, they refer to as an MSP. So we're called a managed service provider. Folks in Jamaica, you're just an IT company. But there's IT companies and there's IT companies. There's IT companies that sell PCs and boxes and servers, and then there's IT companies that do what they call break-fix service. So something breaks, you call someone, you wait until they're able to come, and then they turn up, right? And that's a little different from what we do. We do what we call proactive support, and this business in North America and the rest of the world is called MSP, Managed Service Provider. And the lady is, yes, there's a little distraction on the left-hand side that we're trying to manage here. Sorry. So this magazine and this organization, MSP Mentor Online, they do an assessment globally of MSPs, and we're actually recognized as one of the top 501 top 501 MSPs worldwide. And no, we weren't number 501. We checked. We were way in the middle, right? In the middle of lots of North American companies. 256, my company secretary reminds me. Head of marketing, that's what I should remember. So the interesting thing with this is that when we started using that remote management tool that I told you about, the organization whose tool we use, they actually said to us, you guys, you should complete the assessment. And we're like, we didn't know what they're talking about. They said, no man, here, such and such. And of course, the company reached out to us. So we looked at so they do a class assessment. They look at the website. They look at who your customers are. So they do some work in the background, and then we have to do some assessment. So it was new to us, and we've completed what we had to complete, and then we were pleasantly surprised when we got a response that this is where we were. So the other one was, what is interesting is that once you get into this database globally, all of a sudden lots more people start looking at you. So this magazine, CIO Review, big magazine globally, they called us and said, look, we've been kind of seeing what you guys are putting out there. So those who don't know, we have a Facebook page. Just go on Facebook on TTech Limited. We're also on Twitter. We're also on LinkedIn. So these companies, they go out and take a look at what you're putting out, what content are you putting out, how engaged you are. And so we got, again, another one of these, and there are about 3 or 4 more, but we started getting too many. We said, look, IT security is important to us. Let's engage with these guys. They did interview. They had an interview with Teddy. They looked at what we did. We had to submit information. And then we were, again, pleasantly surprised to receive one of the 20 most promising enterprise security solution providers in 2017. So that's another one of the recognitions that we'll see. Thank you very much, and thanks to John and his team for doing what they do to let a magazine like this kind of recognize us for IT security. So during the year, so I'm kind of giving the year chronologically, kind of almost as it happens. Later down in the year, around maybe August, we kind of started looking back at. So at this time, I remember in 2016 we celebrated 10 years, and so we've had a certain mission and vision that the company was based on from before. But as we look to leap into the next 10 years, we started looking at what's our mission, what's our vision, and the values that the company had. So through that same engagement and deep engagement process, the team came together, and firstly, the management team came and said, okay guys, let's go through, the processes that you do to form a new vision. It wasn't that new, we just kind of looked at what was said from 2006, still relevant, we just kind of tweaked it, finessed it. So at the bottom right hand side, we see to help achieve greatness by delivering insanely good IT services. So that rally cry, that was inspired by a rally cry that our founder and executive chairman has been talking about, delivering insanely good customer experience from day one. It's something that every new team member wants. They come into the organization, that's something that they hear over and over and over again. And so we decided to include it as part of the vision. And then now we made some modifications with the mission, and then handed that to the team, and then the team went through to say, okay, well, if we're going to deliver this type of vision, what needs to be our values? And so if you look in for those who have a report in front of you, just open page 3, you will see the list of the values there, and this was, the team came together, formed a little customer satisfaction group, and customers also are internal and external, and we have several of those team members here for that group, and they came up with this list of the values that they said, okay, in order for us to deliver that, we have to be this. And so we had the TTEC image, teamwork, communication, ownership, empowerment, personal development, confidentiality, commend, and corporate social responsibility. So these are the values and the mission vision that were created, that are re-energized and rejigged in 2017. So speaking about corporate social responsibility, that is the next slide that I will give an overview on. So the organization, it says a Wilmer's boy, I have to pause when I'm going to say certain things, right? I mean, our chairman and several other team members happens to be JC alumni, and so just coincidentally, maybe I don't know, that JC happens to be one of the leading robotics teams, or probably the only, I don't know, Teddy, you have to explain to me, the only robotics team, but they're not the only, there are several out there, but JC happens to be leading in the area. And so we continue to support the team, and we support the team members, and one of our own team member, Gavin, is Gavin in that picture? Gavin is a far right, way over in the corner over there. He happens to be also with the team's coach, I think. Is he also the manager? I don't remember if he's the manager or not. I know he's the team coach. But he's kind of like the rally cry. Yes, sir?
For the international team, he's the coach as well.
He's the coach for the international team?
Manager for JC.
Was a national team manager?
Yes.
You see, you know more than me, than one of my team members. But I know, so we continue to support the robotics team. Huh? Okay, the robotics team. The other things that we also do, so whilst TTEC is not, we don't have this specific formal foundation that will do things as yet, it will happen. So what we do, we kind of turn to the team and we support the various I guess the various things that the social responsibility things that the team supports. So there's a fair amount of 5Ks, especially the downtown area. We've tried to support downtown. Our office is at 16.5 Harbour Street. So we ensure that we support things that happen down there. So whether it's a Grace 5K, and as a slide also mentioned, homework centers. So Grace and staff supports within the area. There's a technology that they have, we have helped to put in these homework centers to, as it says, it's a homework center. These folks don't have computers at home. They don't have too much technology at home, so we create these areas that they come and able to use technology to do their work. So those are some of the things that we do in terms of support for corporate social responsibility. And then a little bit of outlook for 2018. As mentioned in the report, we are in fact looking for opportunities, partnerships, mergers, strategic partnerships. We are looking for those. We're having discussions with a few folks now, internally and externally outside of Jamaica. On the right, there is a diagram of a different type of service delivery and a different product that we haven't done before. The application is called FileNexus, and we have partnered with an organization in Canada. The organization is called Lars Technologies. The only thing that these guys do is deliver enterprise content management. Some may refer to it as document management, but it's a lot more than that. It's workflow, there's some archiving involved. And what we've been doing is the president and CEO came down here, the senior vice president of technology came to visit us, and we were able to go visit a few customers and prospects that we believe would benefit from reduced paperwork in the office. And when we showed them how the technology worked, people were like, okay, we definitely need this. And the key component, because the thing we have to realize is that enterprise document management been out there for many years. Lots of people tried projects, and some of these projects 2 years later and a few $1 million in, they're still stuck. One of our challenges was when we said that our partnership and this software could deliver and you realize some benefits and value within 2 weeks. We had to kind of say 2 weeks with a straight face, because nobody would believe that, because their experience has been horrible. But we have in fact visited customers, gotten some needs, and be able to show them mock-ups and be able to we're ready to pull the trigger, and we have given them dates. And so we have about 4 proposals delivered already. And so we will see and hear some more in the coming future. So this is one of the key things that we are looking forward to grow with our consulting arm in 2018 and beyond with this software. So our Q1 results showed a little. There was great improvement over our 2017. And this is mainly from a lot of the work that I spoke about with respect to our investment in marketing and our investment in a lot of those customer engagements in 2017, where a fair amount of those follow-ups started happening, and we actually started visiting customers and started closing a few deals early in the year. And some of these projects did begin late 2017 and ended in early 2018 and delivered some of these results for us. So we saw 23.3 increase in revenue, 23.3% increase over Q1 2017 Q1 compared to Q1 2018. Yes, the expenses did go up. The main reason why for those expenses, when somebody comes to you with a massive opportunity and you look on it, and the initial on the outset, you know you have to hire some external consultants, you know you have to put in some additional cost in the business, but the long-term opportunity is there. You have to make a decision. Am I going to walk away from this because the profit is tiny, or am I going to grab it with 2 hands and run with it and try to extract the maximum you can from that opportunity? So in Q1, we entered into a fairly big consulting engagement, which requires us to be hiring several external team members with skills that we don't have to help. So some skills we have, so we pull them from internally, but others we have to hire external teams. And so we saw our expense bump up in Q1. But we see what happened with the net profit. The net profit did bounce at 52.2% from 4.4 million to 6.7 million in Q1 2018. So this is just a quick highlight. These results were released and they were placed on the stock exchange, and we are looking forward to a great year. We are out there working very, very hard to close a number of the opportunities that we spoke about in that we met with a lot of those persons in those customer engagements and prospect engagements. So that's it for me for my highlights, and as our chairman said, we will take questions at the end, and I will now invite our own Hortense Gregory Nelson, who handles our financial affairs, to give you some more details and some meat on the bones with the numbers. Hortense, over to you.
Thank you, Chris. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. This afternoon, we will now present a report of the financial highlights of TTEC Limited for 2017. In 2017, we saw growth in our portfolio of managed services, However, revenue, as stated before by Chris, from some of our project and PBX sales were not realized due to customers deferring projects, which resulted in our revenues decreasing by about 2.6% when compared to 2016. Our operating revenues saw a marginal increase over the prior year. As TTEC continues to grow, the major areas of investment will be in our tools and our people. This was in response to the increased demand for our managed services and saw a growth in our talent pool by over 10% to support our service delivery and increase our efficiency. In regard to revenue performance, our services consist of both our service contracts and our projects. Due to the mixed nature of this business offering of our managed services and projects, we will see bumps in our revenue over time as reflected here. In 2017, TTEC earned 4.2% of its overall revenue from new customers. Regarding our net profit performance, the net profit attributable to shareholders was 18.6 million in 2017, while our earnings per share was 18 cents. Regarding our other income gains and losses which impacted our performance at the end of the 2017, this was impacted negatively by the revaluation of the dollar and also reduced rates on instruments, and this combination affected our overall performance. Our asset and shareholders' equity. During the year, the total assets increased by $208 million, while our shareholders' equity increased by 8.7% to $178 million. This resulted from an increase in long-term investments and also a decrease in both accounts receivable and accounts payable. We also saw improvements in our cash resources, which increased by 26% to $30.5 million at the year end. TTEC has no long-term debt. The low leverage reflects the company's business model of providing services which negate costly fixed expenditure or tying up our capital in inventories. In regard to our receivables, IFRS requires us to make a provision for items older than 90 days. Management is monitoring the portfolio and we have no disputes regarding the amounts. Of the amounts over 90 days at year end, we have collected $2.9 million of these amounts to date. We continue to collect and maintain dialogue with our customers regarding these balances. Investments have also increased from the cash generated from our operations. Regarding our revenue and net profit of Q1 2017 versus Q1 2018, as referenced by Chris earlier, our revenue is up over the corresponding period, also our net profit. Regarding our movement in share price, the interest in the company continues to be high, while demand for our shares continues to impact our base in growth of shareholders. We have seen where our shareholders at 31st March 2017 was 478, and as at that same period, 31st March 2018, we are now at 582 shareholders. Ladies and gentlemen, confidence in the company continues to be strong. Our balance sheet remains strong. We aim to continually grow shareholder value and provide an insanely good customer experience in the delivery of our services and goods to our customers. Thank you.
Thank you, Chris and Hortense. And before we move on and take questions and so on, our secretary just advised that we actually had received apologies for absence from a few members of the management team. So I'd just like to acknowledge that as received apologies from Wenley Bramwell, Mrs. Leslie Cousins, Mr. Eldon Reynolds, and Ms. Marcel Smart. All right. Chris Hortens, thank you very much for giving those insights. We are now going to take questions. What I'd ask is that anyone who has a question, please state your name, and if you have multiple questions, maybe we'd ask you to just ask 2 of them at a time, and we can respond to those questions, give us a chance.
Okay, good afternoon. My name is Michael Henry. What I'm concerned about is your net profit. It decreased tremendously, and I haven't seen your, what's it? What I really want to know is your first quarter result, if it is good.
Okay. I thought we did present those a while ago. We did present them. The first quarter's results actually were better. Chris, or Hortens, can you put the slide back up? Well, use Chris's own. Yeah, well, this one actually shows it. It actually shows that for 2018, revenues increased to 69.8 million from 56.5, and our net profits moved from 4.4 to 6.7 million for the first quarter, 2018.
So you don't have any, for 2017, your trade receivable, I don't saw where you indicate that you have any trade receivable outstanding.
I'm not sure I quite understand the question. Can you rephrase
what I'm saying,
maybe?
For your net profit for last year, 2017, it did not indicate that any trade receivable was outstanding. You never have any money supposed to come in.
Yes, we did have accounts receivable. I think Hortens spoke to it. Hortens, use a microphone.
Our accounts receivables as recorded in 2017 was actually $29.8 million. So could you rephrase the question? What was it that you wanted?
Your net profit. What I'm saying, your net went down significantly, right?
Yes, it did.
But at the same time, you did not indicate that you have any trade receivable supposed to come in to...
It is there. Okay.
Okay. Sorry.
All right, sorry. Thank you.
Okay, good afternoon. I'm Carrie Tape. I just showed him page 58, which says accounts receivables, that you reduced the accounts receivables, from 47 million to 29 million, so it went down, so that's a good thing. But I think what you're looking for is on page, where is it? On page 62, note 14, it says here, foreign exchange loss or gain. In 2016, you made other income gains and losses. You made a profit or income, I shouldn't say profit. Other income was up, and it was significantly down. I think that's the line item that severely impacts the net profit. I think that's what you're looking for. It's on page 62. Page 62, number 14. Oh, okay, so I was just, sorry about that. Okay, so now me know. Okay, so you understand now? So, okay, so I am not a techie at all, but I listen to all of what you're saying, and in the Jamaican context, well, I work at a company where you have come and made a significant impact in our lives in terms of IT delivery service to the company. So I noticed that's animated, and I noticed that's nice. It will speak to the millennials, but millennials don't run and own the companies. We old people run and own the companies, know what we do. So perhaps all the persons who you have provided these service deliveries to, perhaps you could do something as testimonials or something like that to show, because one person said it to me a long time ago, IT people do not speak the same language as us. So when you're talking, we kind of don't understand it. Even though you break it down, we're kind of like IT doofuses. Or I shouldn't make a general statement. I am an IT doofus. So, but here's the thing that I'm totally impressed by. And I like the fact that you are, I like the fact of your service delivery. I like the fact that you were recognized in 2 international things. And one of them was, let me see if I can remember, the bottom was mentoring and the top one was document management. Now that, what you did for the company where I work was a really, really significant, it was a significant impact. I don't know how you would bridge the gap in terms of, I'm not saying that your marketing is flawed in any way, but bridge the gap so that people would understand exactly what it is you did. You know what I mean? Because when you're talking IT tech to us, we don't really get it. But when a layman says, oh, I can do this and I can do that now and I don't have to wait 3 days, it makes a significant difference. So I don't know how you would bridge that gap in marketing. So that's my first comment. And to commend you on both the international recognition on both things. And the other thing is, most managers, as I said, and owners, they don't speak tech. They really don't. And when you go and try to sell to them, I mean, I'm not saying that you have this issue, but if they knew what you did for us, you would have so many customers, you wouldn't be able to handle it.
One of you guys as testimony.
That's really my comment. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Kerry. I'm going to ask Chris to answer the second question, which is about how we address the, call it the gap in terms of how we explain our services from tech to, call it, business benefits. But just like to bring the meeting's attention, if you look on pages 18 and 19 of the annual report, you actually have some testimonials from customers there.
2 dead.
Sorry?
2 dead. It won't picture on everything.
Well, I mean, we actually do have them captured in video, but for the purposes of the annual report, we have 3, and on the back page we do. We actually have been going around and getting testimonials from customers which were captured in video. Chris and Julian. But so those are available. Anybody who wants to see them, we'd be able to show you if you so desire. Chris, you want to address Kerry's other question in relation to how we translate tech to business?
Thank you, Teddy. But let me just follow up on the first question. For anyone who wants to see, so Teddy pointed out some testimonials that were in the annual report. So the back of the annual report has one there, and there are several inside. The videos are actually on our website, www.ttech.com.jm. Just scroll on the first page and you see the actual video of these testimonials. Thanks to the feedback, we will add some of them to next year's AGM presentation, and we will use it to liven it up, right? So your chairman has actually given me, Kerry, your executive chairman has actually given me another testimonial very similar to what you said a while ago. So I'll try to capture it properly. I will try to force him to speak into a camera. It's going to be a tall task, but he has in fact said to me that you guys have made a significant dent in our organization, and they're able to focus on the value-added stuff while we took care of the boring details and the mundane stuff and the foundation stuff that must work in order for the rest of the things to work. So yes, we just said that to me, so I need to just capture it properly. You can start nudging and I will follow up. So to answer the other question, trying to simplify what we do whilst hitting all the main points is a delicate balance because it's a technology business, and we find that we have tried using things like that video, and to a fair amount of people they actually appreciate and understand it. We have been in meetings. One meeting recently in front of a number of lawyers, not to take anything from lawyers, my wonderful wife is a lawyer, but these are the least technical people, and by their admission, right? By their admission, I know she's there. She will admit the least technical people. And when Norman and I and Sonica visited this law firm and we did our pitch, at the end of it, we pressed play, we did the thing, and everybody was like, why didn't you just play that from the beginning? I could have saved the whole 1 hour of talk. So I think it captures what we're trying to explain without dumbing it down way too much. But it is a technical topic, and we continue to try to find the right language and the right balance of technical and just general business to explain what we do. Right? Which is what to explain. We do have a lot of those forums, and those forums, whilst we're talking about, whether it's document management, disaster recovery, cyber security awareness, we talk about the big topics. We always interject all the various things that we do. So those guys get it, and we have had a number of forums at the Jamaica Stock Exchange or the Jamaica Chamber of Commerce, PSOJ, who have done presentations to all of those audiences. So we continue to tweak it. All right, another question. Thank you.
Yes, sir. I have just one comment about your IP and your copyright. I know a company who did borrow something from somebody else on verbal and gentleman's agreement and all that, and it came back and bite them. So since you guys are now swimming in big waters, when you borrow anything from anybody, beg you sign it on paper, say that yes, you can borrow this and use that and transplant the other. The other thing is, I don't think you realize the impact your little meetings are having on the rest of the investment people, because some of us are doofuses in high-tech, some of us are doofuses in investment, but we've made some investment friends among each other. I mean, I'll call up somebody I never met before and talk about investment and think, no. So that kind of thing augurs well for what you are doing. So I'd like to know, since you're mentors now, do you have a formal summer work program for youth, or is it just a call up and say who can apply? That's one. The other thing is, as a junior stock exchange people, a company rather, are you allowed to be in managed equity pools now that other people can buy into rather than a single buy-in? And finally, since your petal is missing out of here now, did I hear you say you're going into outsourcing? I didn't quite get that.
All right. By the way, that was Dr. Susan Lowe. Thank you. And thank you for the comments and the advice about the intellectual property. I'm not going to ask Chris to address the last question. Sorry, you want to just repeat the 3 questions, because
I know I went over the 2. Sorry. If you have the ability as a junior stock exchange to be in managed equity group funds now, people can buy, like you're mixed up with maybe Google and Apple and JN and NCB and all that, and you get into that, or you still have to buy you or only approach you singly as a company to buy the stock. And then the other one was, are you handling actual outsourcing services now? And I mean, like, do you have your own? Because boy, some of them out there are very bad. And are you having a formal summer work approach, or is it still a matter of you just phone up the company and say, do you have space for summer workers?
Yeah. Okay, I think I can address Chrissy can address the outsourcing services for me. With respect to can you buy T-Tech stocks through a fund? A fund like that, such as a mutual fund, we don't create that. It would be entities like a financial institution, say for instance a Mayberry or so on, who would actually create a fund that's composed of, call it, different equities and or other instruments. they then market the fund. We would have nothing to do with it at all. So
I'm asking if you're allowed as a
you want to use a mic?
I'm asking if you're allowed as a junior stock company to be in those pools.
I'm going to defer Richard, our board.
Okay.
Yeah, our equities could be included in such a fund. Okay. Some of our programs, we do take on selectively one or two summer workers. Quite frankly, to be able to take on a lot of summer workers creates work. Somebody has to administer the program. Summer workers come in, somebody has to show them what to do and so on. And you know, we quite frankly don't have a lot of fat in our system. We're pretty lean and mean. And as a result, we have to, you know, manage that very carefully. But we do take on workers, but primarily we will take on university students. Although we have taken on students who are just graduated from high school, have an interest and some talent in IT, and come in, and we can put them directly, you know, in. So basically, what we have to do for summer work is we have to take on people who really require a minimum of supervision, because supervision takes away time from us actually providing services to our customers. All right, Chris, you want to answer the question on the outsourcing services?
Okay, so if you turn to page 22, where the MD&A starts the management discussion and analysis, it explains a little more detail with what this slide on the screen is. So the short answer is yes, we are in fact an IT outsourcing company. But this is a breakdown of the components in which we outsource. We don't outsource everything. So we're not gonna do like what IBM used to do back in the day and just come and buy the entire organization and do every single solitary thing. We outsource certain specific areas in which we are expertise in, which are the areas that are listed on page 22 right here. It explains them, and also just kind of at a highlight on the slide. So our poster speaks to infrastructure monitoring and management. So we are doing it. People in the company used to do it, but sometimes, not sometimes. What happens is that depending on the company's size, the IT persons or person that they have usually don't have all the skills to do all of these areas. One of the challenges with information technology and IT in general and just all things computer is that you have a lot of, let's call it with the word we use, one-eyed man in the land of the blind. Just because this person knows about computers, you think they can do everything. But the skills required to do cybersecurity, penetration testing and assessments is way different from server management and a little different from router configuration. And the language will get very technical now. So the end of the day is that we take over a fair amount of these services and we handle them. So technically it is IT outsourcing, that's what we do. So I mentioned earlier, as part of the business process outsourcing world, IT outsourcing is a sub-component of it, and we do some parts of it.
Okay, well, that really wasn't what I was asking though. What I was trying to get at was, included in all of your outsourcing, you have call center service now set up?
No.
Oh.
No. Our call center is what we call service desk. So we have a little area, if you walk into the office and just look without anybody saying anything, it looks like a tiny 15-seat call center, but is a service desk.
No, that's not what I'm asking again. I'm asking you if you are about to go into offering call center.
No.
Afternoon, Teddy. David Rose.
Hi, David.
Short comments first before ask their questions. Short comments, I should say praise. I was going to say, my mistake was mentioned the room was empty, but today is kind of a hectic season considering that Kingston Warriors, Jamaica Stock Exchange, T-Tech, another company actually all of AGMs within this time span right now, so one can actually understand why the room is so empty right now. Because nobody sees Mr. Staple, nobody sees, you see, even he's laughing, because he knows the truth. You see? Or he's probably like Argentina just lose and people kind of crying right now. Well, Brazil will lose tomorrow, so what is it? Well, I'm going to comment that I like the idea that, and actually find it unique that TTEC has been is one of the only junior companies that can actually identify that actually has an online investor forum where you have a live stream. You can send questions in that are moderated in essence by the company secretary. I'm not sure you're the secretary. Thanks. And that we'll be able to get engagement, discuss about the company. I like that idea, but I want to say that I actually had to look at the page to realize that there was an investor forum. I didn't immediately recognize it was going on. In the show, I never recognized immediately what was going on. So, correspondence with private shareholders is through some medium would be a good way to keep them up to the loop as to when that's going to happen. As we see corporate social responsibilities, it's good to see that the TTEC firm is still supporting strongly the Jamaica College Robotics team, which is the only Jamaican and potentially one of the few HP and Caribbean teams to be actually participating in the First Tech Robotics Challenge in the US, and JC has had to do a national team which is managed by, actually coached by Gavin Samuels, which is good. And I liked how you were saying how you guys have set up homework centers to try and bridge that gap between those who don't have access to IT and those who do, because that's in where the world is going towards right now in terms of IT, science, STEM, science, technology, engineering, medicine. It's good to see that TTEC is trying to push that technological front towards and just the youth, what those who want to advance themselves. I was also going to, I was also to ask that next AGM, if you can just ask a resolution, if you can just take the auditor's report as read, so we don't have to go to sleep. I could have walked in Pegasus and come back and still go to the bathroom before they're done. And I walked to Pegasus a while ago and I came back and I probably timed myself and I still reached back in time before they were finished. Well, here are the direct questions. This one relates to what I've been seeing a lot of companies have been doing in terms of corporate governance, and that is a whistleblower policy. Has TTEC considered incorporation policies like whistleblower policies and steering committees or other things to do in terms of corporate governance?
Do you have other question?
No, that was a question.
Oh, that was a question. Okay.
The whistleblower policy, just like how Jamaica producers just published their whistleblower policy, and a few other companies have been gotten and streaming towards whistleblower policies.
Yeah. TTEC actually, the board actually approved a whistleblower policy. Philip, when did we approve it? Was it this year? Yeah, we approved a whistleblower policy. So the company actually has one in place. Implementing it is another thing. So what we're doing is we're also working through call it the details, the process of what it will take to actually allow someone to be able to blow the whistle anonymously and have it reported. The Corporate Governance Committee, chaired by Philip Alexander, will be the entity that would take the initial reports of from any whistleblowers and determine how to follow up on it.
Thank you. It's good to see that TTEC is doing something before people have to ask. Next question, as it relates to your prospects. I remember, I believe it was either when watching the investor forum, or was it last year at AGM, where TTEC said that they would invite more what they could show, because I remember that TTEC said that you have services within the Eastern Caribbean, other Caribbean islands, and considering that TTEC is still young, it's what? You guys started in 2006 or 2008? Oh, so 12 years. So still a sort of a medium from growing. So as it relates to growth prospects, I realized that TTEC said that they're trying to get more sustainable recurring streams of income instead of just the one big projects which just have generated a one-time income, which is pretty on paper, but in the long run isn't fully sustainable. So I know that you said that you addressed in terms of growth prospects and what you're trying to do, but I'm going to ask, in terms of similar to expansion along with growth, does TTEC see themselves setting up offices in other Caribbean islands or even expanding to accommodate larger clients in the future?
We definitely are looking at larger clients. We're also beginning to explore opportunities outside of Jamaica. But I'll ask Chris to address that. The Eastern Caribbean isn't something that we are actively pursuing. If opportunities do come up as that one did, then we would take it. But Chris, you want to speak about what we're looking at in terms of expansion, particularly outside of Jamaica?
Thanks for the question. So specifically and actively, we have been courting potential partners in North America. We have had a number of meetings with small SMEs, small medium-sized enterprises that are doing similar to what we're doing, but again, so even though it's a service provider organization similar to us, they don't have the breadth of services and the depth of the team that we have. So some of these guys are, anywhere between 3 to 5, maybe 10 people, 10 engineers.
They're just juniors.
But we have a structure and we have access to educational facilities here that we can ramp up relatively quickly. It will take some time to onboard someone and have them become, deliver the type of value that we want to deliver. So that is happening actively. It's taking time because you sign agreements with folks, you have to meetings, and you're doing that while you're still delivering the day-to-day services. As a matter of fact, tomorrow morning I'm attending AmCham, American Chamber of Commerce, is having this event where they're bringing on the U.S. Chamber of Commerce here. So tomorrow morning, sit down with those folks and figure out how can you help us to get a proper foothold
in other areas
in North America. There are Caribbean opportunities that have started to kind of knock on the door. So just last week we were at the Jamaica Investment Forum in Montego Bay with Jampro, and there are Jamaican organizations that have footprint throughout the Caribbean, and they're kind of saying, well, do you guys provide support for people in other Caribbean countries? And technically we do, because some of our customers have locations in those areas and we're providing support for them. So of course they're saying, come and have a meeting and talk to us. So those meetings are this week, next week, week after next. We're talking to some of, again, Jamaican companies that have branches. So one of the things that when Teddy started the company, one of the things that was the underpinning is in terms of following our customer where the customer went. So we do have plans to keep doing that. So I hope I answered the question.
Yes, I understand it correctly. Don't move.
Thank you.
Don't
pass.
Don't move. You see a question?
Right there. Go ahead.
Turn to page 60. I read that TTEC, like any other of the responsible firms who don't just have a large cash balance but that utilize some of it to grow further interest. I realize that TTEC has some certificates of deposits in both US and Jamaican instruments and some quoted equity securities. Has TTEC thought about doing other forms of investment in terms of, I shouldn't say other forms of investments, but like how some companies in the stock market or bonds in terms of investment versus the CODs and quoted equities?
Hortense, you want to address that?
Thank you for your question. In regard to note 10 on page 60, the reference made with the US instrument and also the Jamaican dollar instruments are actually bond investments. So we actually look at what makes sense for us on the market, and as always we monitor and manage our risk.
Proper prudent procedures, yes.
Yes.
Don't go as it. It's another question for you, because you're the financial controller.
Go ahead.
Just like how Mr. Alexander was saying, how, they are trying to build a footprint in other areas. what does T-Tech see as a benefit right now, or should I say a downside? Because I couldn't properly identify through the financials as an advantage for them in terms of the US dollar sliding to Jamaica. No, the Jamaican dollar sliding towards US dollar, meaning that the Jamaican dollar losing its strength relative to the US dollar.
Okay, one of the things that we do is our billing in most cases is pegged to the US dollar. So in that regard, we maintain our value, but you must also remember that when the dollar is revalued and the value improves, that we will also have some downsides to that also. So we benefit on both counts, that we maintain some of our currency in US dollar to combat that process.
Thank you. I do a small comment for Mr. Alexander.
Go ahead.
A comment, that's all.
Sorry?
It's a comment.
Okay.
I will say that I respect how T-Tech has implemented procedures to coordinate with workers in terms of, see how they're satisfied and the issues they have, and how you're saying, if it's their birthday, give them the day off. You're the only company I've actually heard saying, if it's a birthday, we'll give you like half a day, or some company give half a day, or somebody say take the entire day off. And I respect that, because some people really and truly enjoy their birthday, and giving them also encourages team motivation to work hard and greater productivity. So, I like how you're working with the team to build a team mentality towards better service to treating the employees properly. Because only a company I know international-wise that actually treats the employees so well that they will never want to leave is Google. No, it's the truth. No, I can't imagine a company that actually, says, take your birthday off, you have any issues, talk to us, direct talk.
Alright, yeah, thanks for that comment on that, David. We do pay a lot of attention. I think from day one of the things that we have done as T-Tech is try to ensure that team members really feel good about working for the company. It is a constant struggle, because the truth is that the work we do is quite stressful. So we do have to find ways to, allow team members to be able to be relieved of some of that stress. So there are things that we have done that I think most that people would regard as very innovative. The other things that we do, we give paternity leave. Fathers actually are entitled to 2 weeks paid paternity leave. Birthday days off is just one of 5 personal days that are allowed during a calendar year. One of those days would be a birthday. A second one would be if you are supporting a cause and you want a day off for that. And the other 3 days are available to people to take, just, that. We actually allow team members to work remotely from home, just so everybody has a laptop. We actually pay them or reimburse them $3,000 a month for broadband access. So that gives them the ability to work from home. There are team members, and I know John, definitely one of them, Jillian is another one, parents, and children are sick. They have a choice. Do I take a day off, or do I take the children, stay home with the children? What we do is we allow you to stay home with the children, and you work as best you can remotely. So and one of the things is a very interesting conversation I had recently with some people who are actually looking at corporate social responsibility. Most people think of corporate social responsibility as giving charity, but what was pointed out to me is that CSR is really not just about what you do with your profits, but it's how you make your profits and how you engage with your stakeholders during the process of conducting your business. So these things that we're doing are actually very much a part of CSR as well. So thank you for those comments, David. Thank you. Kerry?
If I may just ask 2 quick things. When I went to Neighbor Investments Limited, what they did was have investor forums to expand investor knowledge. I think that in our age of technology, have you ever thought of having IT forums where you actually charge people,
Sure.
You charge them money and have IT forums so that managers can better or owners can better understand what's happening in their institution and the new modern things that are happening. That's one. And two, the final thing is, do you see any other companies to strategically ally with or merge with or purchase or offer shares in lieu of so as to strengthen the company, expand the company, as companies like NCB does and Maybury does and that kind of thing, strategic alliances. And the other thing that I didn't understand was taxes. I see taxes coming out. I just wanted a comment on that. Thanks. Because you're a junior stock market and you're not supposed to be charged, so
okay.
I was just wondering. Thank you. That's a lot. Sorry about that. Thanks.
Yeah, I'll ask Chris to address the comments I guess, marketing and possible acquisitions and mergers. That's just one thing I will comment on before Chris. Next week I'm actually giving a presentation to a financial services company on really call it IT and the future of IT, where it is today, where it's heading, how it would impact. So, touching on topics like blockchain, cybersecurity, and so on. Really trying to address the issue of how to make a lot of this stuff more understandable, particularly for executives and directors. Chris has there are some things that we've been looking at in that direction as well.
So Kerry, thanks for the question. So because we're at this AGM reporting on presenting our 2017 report, there's a fair amount of things that we've begun doing in this year that were not written in that document. So we have in fact conducted our first paid event just recently, where we had folks, and that technology I explained at the last part, FileNexus, document management, enterprise content management, workflow archiving solution. That was one of the things that we spoke about there. We also spoke about data privacy and data protection and things like that. So we have started because, as I also explained, some of the customer engagements, we do have these CIO forums, and it's very, very similar to what we do. So yes, we do that. We also have started discussions with folks around acquisitions, around partnerships. We have formally signed NDAs for some of them as we assess the situation. So that's ongoing. So can't speak much about that until they happen. Thank you very much.
I refer to page 60 and note 8 regarding taxation, 59 to 60, sorry. So it's from note 8 and also 59 to 60. In regard to our recognition of the taxation charge, it is actually a computed charge. As a junior stock exchange company, we are liable if we do not continue to meet all the rules. So the computation allows us to recognize what our liability will be if at any point in time we do not adhere to the rules and we have to demit the junior stock exchange market. Okay.
All right, thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. I think I'll move on. Kerry, just one other thing I think maybe Chris may have forgotten it, is that one of the initiatives that we're trying to launch this year is to put on a course. It would be IT for non-IT managers. One of the things is that we have seen and said is that always see these finance for non-finance managers, and realize that there's this big gap in terms of knowledge of what IT really is, how it works, and how it impacts the business. And executives and directors really, we think, are in need of that type of explanation, where we try to explain IT in non-technical terms and relate it back to the business. So, thank you. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for those questions. And now I'd like to move on. I would like to put resolution number 1 to the meeting for adoption, that the audited accounts for the year ended December 31, 2017 together with the director's report and auditor's report thereon, be and are hereby, oops, I'm at the wrong page. Yes, be and are hereby adopted. Sorry. Those in favor? Those against? No, I think the resolution was already proposed. So the ayes have it. I declare the resolution carried. Okay. Reappointment of the auditors, or appointment. Messrs. Ernst & Young of 8 Olivia Road, Kingston 8, have agreed to continue as auditors of the company. So may I have a proposer and a seconder for resolution number 2, that Messrs. Ernst & Young be reappointed auditors of the company in accordance with section 154 of the 2004 Companies Act, and that their remuneration be fixed by the directors for the ensuing year. I have a proposer. Mr. David Rose, seconded by Kerry. Thank you. I thank both the proposer and seconder, and now I put resolution number 2 to the meeting. Those in favor? Those against? Okay, the ayes have it. I declare the resolution carried. Thank you. And now the next item on the agenda is the election or re-election of the directors. Sorry?
Any resolution to the election on block?
Sorry, under just expand.
I was saying we can ask to the resolution to have that re-election with the directors done en bloc just one time instead of just doing one.
Okay. All right. I thank you for that suggestion. So I can, Yvonne, I can just proceed with that. Okay. Pursuant to Article 102 of the Company's Articles of Incorporation, the retiring directors eligible for re-election are Thomas Ginn, Hugh Philip Alexander, Joan Marie Powell. May I have a shareholder to propose that the resolution 3A to 3C to re-elect the directors of your company be taken en bloc? David Rose proposing, seconded by Kerry. John Gibson, thank you. I thank the shareholders proposing and seconding that motion, and I now put the resolution to re-elect all 3 directors en bloc to the meeting. Those in favor? Those against? None against? The ayes have it. I declare the resolution carried. Now may I have a shareholder to propose that the retiring directors, Thomas Ginn, Hugh Philip Alexander, and Joan Marie Powell, be and are hereby re-elected the directors of the company. Gentleman in the back in blue. Your name? Mark? Got that? Seconded by?
Marcia Campbell.
Marcia Campbell, thank you. I thank both of you proposing and seconding the motion. So I'll now put the resolution re-electing the directors to the meeting. Those in favor? Those against? The ayes have it. I declare the resolution carried. Thank you. Okay. I think we're on the final item. Sorry, let me just... dividend consideration. The board of directors of our company declared a final dividend of 4 cents, Jamaican 4 cents per stock unit for the 2017 financial year. May I have a shareholder to propose resolution number 4, that a final dividend of 4 cents Jamaican per stock unit paid on September 27, 2017 to the ordinary stockholders of T-Tech Limited on record on September 6, 2017 be and is hereby approved. Mr. Hendricks, thank you. And seconded by? Thank you, John. thank both of you. Now put resolution number 4 to the meeting. Those in favor? Those against? None against. I declare resolution number 4 carried, and thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, that concludes the ordinary business of the meeting. I thank everyone for attending the 2018 Annual General Meeting of TTEC Limited. In particular, I'd like to thank those of you who asked questions, seek sought clarification on some of the information that has been reported. And I'd now like to invite you to join us for a little refreshment, a chance to network with some of the team members. And thank you once again for your time and attention. Thank you.